start.
Well, good evening, Seahawk basketball fans, players, coach, and welcome to Channel 7's introduction of Boothbay's 24-25 edition of the boys varsity basketball team under leadership of Coach Dan Hallinan. And of course, the four, I guess, here today.
Real sick kid.
I'm Jack Brennan, who along with my cohort, sitting next to me, Eric Bertelson, begin our fourth season together broadcasting Seahawk basketball, supported by production management of Cody Mitchell, and today we have Robert with us, which is great to see. Of course, thanks goes out always in best wishes to John Trees for his patient, I would say, mentorship of Eric and me over the last 3 years as we sort of learned the trade of broadcasting coming off the floor as former coaches. Well, Coach, we know how difficult it must be to carve out this amount of time during a practice schedule, and so from the outset we appreciate your being supportive of Channel 7 and of course being always cooperative with us. No one has a greater cooperative spirit than I think you, and we've seen a lot of coaches. Okay.
For sure.
Does that include you? I don't know. Okay. Well, Eric and I are pleased as always and excited to sit down with you and your players to share some thoughts about the team this year. We must remember that we're all here today because of our firm belief in the values that team sports and sports in general promote, and we commend all of you for your active spirit in sports and especially your leadership. Coach, I think now is the proper time for you to introduce your players.
Yep.
Eric and I are familiar with them, but we want to make sure that our fans out there in the viewing world get a real look into them, not only as players, but their personalities tonight as well.
Sure.
So, Coach.
All right. First here is Braden Davis, and again, all four of them here today are seniors. Braden Davis, Adrian Canada, Tyson French, and Spencer Winters. They've been all three of them, or four of them, excuse me, have been with me the past 2 years at least. And they've been, I believe, part of the program for all 4 years. So
I have to apologize at the outset. I have a confession to make, and that is I will call Spencer Connor at least probably twice a game. I apologize at the outset. I've been waiting for this admission for a few seasons, Spencer.
Spencer has a better, longer game. Connor had a little better, closer game, but they're very similar, so I could see how that could happen.
Well, I think they have a rebounding gene in their family.
That is true. They share that.
They're both very
They share
good,
that.
both very good rebounders. Well, I'm going to let Eric begin with the questions.
Sure, and I just want to start out, Jack and I kind of stumbled into this actually during COVID, and they didn't have anybody to do the games. So we started our broadcasting careers back in the COVID days. I can't remember whether we had masks on or not.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well, we were trying to do the games, and that was our introduction. And then nobody else wanted to do it, so we were here again for the next 3 years after that, and have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's really been fun feeling as if we're part of the
Just
program.
be back in the gym.
And be back in the gym, yeah, having coached for many years. My first question is going to be for you, Dan. Last year, and really the last 2 years, you sort of had a clear go-to player. Finn Harkin last year, and Griffin Christian before that, who people, I think, towards the end of the season started to gang up on. I'm wondering this year, things going to be different, what we should expect in terms of how you go about things offensively and defensively as well.
Sure. Like I told them in the locker room last night, that it's pretty much going to be who's doing it for us on any given night, whether it's practice, whether it's, they're committed, all of them, to the weight room, so I'm watching them in there, who's putting in the work there. But to answer your question more directly, Tyson's our alpha. There's no question about that. If they go as he goes, But I mean, the others have different forms of leadership, but Tyson is definitely our alpha in that sense of how he carries himself on the court, his play. And again, the other guys are too, but they're more quiet leaders. But Tyson's really our alpha of the team this year.
I'm going to address this question to all of you, and we'll begin with Spencer, okay? And it dovetails very well with what you just said, Coach, about leadership. This is a question about leadership. How do you view your leadership, and how do each one of you lead? What are your individual strengths and roles with the team? And if you want to admit to some weaknesses or things you're working on in terms of your leadership, yeah, that's good too. Go ahead, Spencer.
I try to push people to kind of get in for rebounds also.
He's by far our best
Yeah.
crasher. So as he goes for the rebounds, everyone else follows suit. There's no doubt that Spencer's most likely our best rebounder on the team.
Leading by example.
Yeah.
Tyson?
I try to lead it by example as well. I also try to communicate my leadership, but sometimes it comes off harsh. I get after them sometimes.
Right. Hedrick?
I kind of try to be like a hype man. I try to get everyone going. Try to talk a lot on defense. Kind of talking is my way of going about leading people.
Sure. Braden?
It's somewhat he said, just like that.
Quiet leader, active leader.
Yeah.
What?
Quiet
Quiet leader. Yeah.
I put Braden up there as one of our better shooters. So I mean, when shots are hitting for him, then it really kind of makes things available to the other players, spreads the floor a little bit. It makes the other team have to commit to him from an outside standpoint, so it allows penetration, whether it be from Tyson, whether it be a cut from Adric, whatever it may be. But when his shooting's on, the team, you can feel the team be able to be better offensively on the half-court set.
Had a couple the other night, Braden, right? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm curious, when the schedule comes out and you look and see, who you're playing, is there a particular game/team that you sort of circle on the calendar and say, boy, that's one we really want to be up for? Do you have a rival like that? It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's a rival every single year, but sort of based on your experience last year, a team that you say, we want to get after them.
Wayne Fleet.
Wayne Fleet.
We lost by 1 or 3 in overtime
Yeah, something like that.
on a call that we should have got. And I've just wanted to beat them since last year.
The one I would circle, I know it doesn't mean much maybe in the long run, but that's Sacopee Valley. Because I remember last year, sitting there, the last game, believe it or not, trying to explain the heel point system. Have you ever looked at the heel point system? Okay. Have you ever tried to explain it to anybody? It is major math. And I remember we were in 11th place before the last game. And I had all these scenarios all figured out with 4 teams, whom they played, the point values, what would happen if this happened, all the scenarios, okay? And if you remember, the first 11 teams went to the tournament. Before that, it used to be the first 12 teams, okay? And we were sitting nicely in 11, and Sacopee was right behind us. And the last 3 games, they played Buckfield, NYA, and Pine Tree, okay? And you played Madison, Mount Abram, and Spruce Mountain. Need I say more? I think you get my point. But this is the reality, okay? We didn't make the tournament by 1.076 points. I'm sorry to bring it up, Dan. 1.076 points. That's why I would circle tomorrow night to win by at least 2 points. Okay? I'm pretty confident you're going to do that. Okay.
Dan, you had a different response.
Oh, it's always Winthrop. Always. Coach MacArthur and I have a great relationship, but we're just both so competitive. And just even my days when I played and everything, just Winthrop it's just always a good Boothbay Winthrop clash. And I mean, he's a great coach. He's got a great program, but it's always fun watching their green come into our gym or our blue go into their gym, and it's always a good time. It's always fun. It's competitive.
It kind of reminds me, Jack, of our experience, because we are friends, and every year, for me, the most satisfying win or the most devastating loss was when the school that Jack was coaching
Well,
at.
I think you had better of
Well.
in the 25 years at least that we went together.
But it was just knowing the other coaches were so prepared the kids so well.
Yeah.
And they were just sort of really well played games. Yeah.
Coach, what's the one area you think you really need to work on this year? And is it always the same, do you think, every year? Or is it different depending on the group? And with this group, what do you think the big challenge is? Or
First, I want to recognize the group this year because we've implemented a lifting essentially session after every practice, or sometimes before, like tonight. And all 13 guys are always there, and whether they're told to be or not, they're there, they're doing the work. And that's been a great success so far this year. You're seeing a difference between not only the older players but the younger players, and it's making a difference on the court too, because if over the past couple of years, especially with these guys, they'd get hit and they'd go into the stands, or they'd get hit and they'd go flailing, and you can already tell a difference now that when they're getting hit, the other person's now taking the contact and they're getting bounced off, or for the most part, you're seeing a huge difference. But to answer your question more directly from that, I'd say our biggest challenge is sometimes finding a way to score the ball in the half court set. So it's more or less finding different creative ways, finding mismatches, finding who's got the hot hand that night, who's on the other team defending who, and whatever it may be. But really finding different ways for these guys to be able, in a half-court set, to put the ball in the lid. So.
I know well, there are 5 of you, but only 4 here tonight, with 5 seniors and 5 freshmen. Does that present any unique challenges? How's that working out?
It's actually good. It's the freshman team's pretty talented. They're freshmen still, but they're pushing these guys, and these guys are pushing them. So it's really, honestly, it's been great. It really has. I mean, between both groups, we'll play our white team, which is practically, it is all seniors and maybe a junior in there, and then you've got the young guys that are competing against them. And they're going back and forth. It's good. It's good.
What's your guys' take on having these youngsters on the squad?
I like having them because it's just a different change of pace compared to what we usually had. We just didn't have as many people in the last couple of years.
Anybody else have
I like having them on the team because it reminds me of how we used to play, like our freshman year. It's all a bunch of, like, they're 5 starters in JV. It's just like us. Just
they
freshman
had
year.
some good teams there in that era too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to have you think for a little bit before you answer, and we'll start with Braden, and we're not going to pick on Spencer at this time until the end. Can you come up with 3 adjectives to describe your team this year?
I can throw a word out.
All right.
I'd say this is one of the groups that I've had in the past 5 years that are very committed.
That's all right.
Very committed.
Okay. Adrian?
I'd say we're a very fast team because, we're all smaller kids, so we have quickness. Strength. There is a lot of strength on our team, as Coach said, with going and lifting weights now. That's helped us out a ton. And occasionally smart. Not always. We have our moments, but for the most
There's a
part.
caveat
we do
there,
good.
huh? Occasionally.
For the most part.
We'll look for that occasionally.
Yeah.
Okay? Ty-
I'd say committed. We've all played summer ball all of the 4 years with Coach.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference,
Yeah.
right?
And we all like to work together as a team, so that helps us a lot.
I mean, just from the booth, okay, seemingly under Coach Allen, what we've seen is really supportive players.
Yeah.
You know, good times and bad times, you support each other pretty well.
Yeah.
And now, Spencer.
I'm going to go with him on the commitment because everyone's been there for the 5 freshmen, summer
Yeah.
ball, and fall ball. Also, the lifting has helped with that.
Yeah.
I'm always, as a former guidance counselor, I'm always curious about next steps. What are you guys thinking about for next year? You're all seniors now. Why don't we just go right down the line?
I'm probably just going to go off lobstering.
Okay.
I'm taking a gap year, and then I'm gonna go to lineman school.
Where?
Lineman school at KVCC,
Yeah, nice.
because I still have that free tuition because I'm
Oh, yeah, right.
25.
Yeah,
Good for you.
I'm going into the Coast Guard.
great.
Okay.
I'm gonna start working for my dad, construction.
Okay. So you guys are all going to be very physical and active.
Well, it
and
seems like the weightlifting is going to be
come in handy.
continuation. Right,
In handy.
right. Okay, my last question goes to Coach Eric. What was your motivation to enter this career of coaching? What do you find that's intriguing about it or exciting about it as you go day to day, year to year now? What year is this now?
This is going to be 5
5.
post IJ era. Yeah.
Goes quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I believe I was with him for 8, I think.
Okay.
8 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, are you asking how I got into it? There's some days where I wonder, but for the most part, I really do enjoy
we all
being
had
with these guys. It's fun, and just being able to relate to where they are now, and being able to be kind of be the guy that they rely on,
Right.
to help them progress, whether it's on the court, whether it's off the court. I love being with these guys, and just being able to be part of a game that I loved and still do love, and being able to share it with them. There's not much like it, so they're fun. It's a great time.
Well, I think tomorrow night is going to be a super night for everybody, because I think it's going to be, what's the word they use? Electrifying. The band will be there, right? We'll have a great national anthem, right? Be terrific.
Always do.
I think the crowd will be great. It's a logical Friday night in Maine. I hope it's cold as anything to bring the people in, because the gym's always a warm spot and people like to save money on the heating as well. But we wish you all the best this year. And however you define success, I hope you strive for that, because we find success in almost all the games you have. So, and that's because of the leadership of Coach and your assistants. I want to make sure they also get a lot of praise here, because I know how hard work that is being an assistant.
So we want to thank you too. Thank
Well,
you guys for what you do.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're glad to do it.
The only thing that I can really leave on that's in my mind is if exciting things are happening for the program. I mean, again, these guys are buying in. I can't say that enough. They've committed themselves, and it's going to go right up through this youth program we're doing. This is a huge success. If you come up the hill here on a Saturday morning, you'll see 60 to 100 kids with basketballs in their hands, and
That's terrific.
it's nothing like you've ever seen. So we've had success in the past. I think we have a great deal of success this year, and it's just going to continue, I think. The region, there's going to be stuff to be excited about, definitely.